I'm asking you a question. You didn't care?
Yes, sir.
Oh, no, I don't think you did. Or you'd been with them.
And he wasn't the last one to walk away.
The defendant's actions, along with the other co-defendants, were brutal in the way they assaulted and treated the victim as a human being.
There were at least 27 cars on the left side of that parking lot. People are wandering around. One lady's up on a hood, kind of like she's dancing.
Well, it's not humane. This isn't the way human beings are supposed to act. Come forward. 23 CR 1661 is called, the state of Texas versus Jamal Petrie. That's you, sir?
Sir.
Present with Ms. Mantellini, your attorney and the state's attorney. Earlier, you pleaded guilty to aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. A pre-sentence report has been prepared in this case. Have the parties had an opportunity to review it, and are there any corrections or changes to it? First of all, state.
Just I know what the argument is going to be today, so I do want to make some additions to this pre-sentence investigation report.
Okay, what about from the defense first?
That would be the only thing that I would what he's bringing up. Nothing other than
We just saw this video not long ago.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So as it stands,
Who was the defendant there?
pardon me?
Who was the other defendant? Were there any other defendants?
There's a total of 8 defendants, Judge. But there are multiple defendants, and it's kind of difficult to keep them all straight.
And I believe they're listed in the recommendations of people for him to avoid. Number 16, that should be a pretty good list of them.
All right, so one of the things I wanted to highlight, Judge, is you just did sentence an individual that was on probation. He was the person that was carrying the AK-47 that Your Honor will recall from the video.
The defendant was named.
The co-defendant on that one.
Was that Foxhall?
That was Foxhall, Chairman Foxhall.
Mm-hmm.
And according to the page 3 of the report from Officer Visser, this individual, along with his brother, fled the scene in a black Hyundai 4-door sedan, along with that individual that was carrying the AK-47. That is one of the things I wanted to add to the report, because that detail is not in there. The report shows on page 2 that he was seen striking with a closed fist and carrying a handgun. So there may be an issue about whether or not he actually had a handgun. But the report that I found, according to the Detective Armstrong, he says that this individual was sitting in that same video carrying that firearm. Didn't strike him with it, but he was seen.
In the report, it says this defendant, Jamal Petrie, could be seen in a video striking Jefferson with a closed fist. This person could also be seen carrying a handgun in the video. Does anybody disagree with that?
That is the state's position, Judge.
He was wearing all black, a gold necklace around his neck. How many individuals were striking the victim in this event? It says several, hitting him with closed fists, guns, and stomping him with their feet.
Or they either struck him with their feet. All individuals either struck the victim with a fist or with a gun. That is the state's position as to all 8 charged defendants.
What else? State.
That's it as far as correction and highlighting, Judge.
Defense. Okay. The pre-sentence report states that the plea bargain is what's called 12 years imprisonment as a cap. The defendant is looking at no less than 2 nor more than 20 years confinement in prison. And this is aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, namely a firearm. So the only options are imprisonment, no less than 2 nor more than 12 years confinement in prison, or deferred or unadjudicated probation.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Because the deadly weapon, affirmative finding there, that precludes regular probation as an option.
Yes, sir.
Oh, and then how long has the defendant been in custody now? While we're figuring that, go ahead, defense.
Right, Your Honor. First, let me start by saying that I've been in
days.
what was the answer?
109.
I have, been in this courtroom for quite a long time, whether I was practicing in front of you or on my own case or just present for other purposes. And I know the court's basic philosophy is, which is the correct one, is that we do make our own choices and we're responsible for our own deeds.
That sounds like a wise statement.
Yes, it's very wise. But, and so Mr. Petrie is standing before you, being responsible for his own deeds. I do want to just bring out a couple of things for the court to consider when making a decision on what to do in this case, though, never setting aside the basic concept that we are responsible for our own deeds and he is present before you for that purpose. Those videos that show the parking lot, there were really two. I don't know which ones you've seen, but there's the right side where the fight ensues, and then there's the left side. But as a whole, just on the left side of the parking lot, and this is with your back to the store, looking across the parking lot toward the little areas where you pull in and fill up your gas. There were at least 27 cars on the left side of that parking lot.
27 vehicles?
Vehicles. Every one of the stalls or the little lanes that you get gas had a car in them, but nobody was getting gas. And then on the right side, you see all the other cars on that side during the entire time, which the videos are like 60 minutes. You could tell when they start, people were already there. I don't know for how long. People are coming in, riding around. People are wandering around. One lady's up on a hood, kind of like she's dancing. There are people laughing, people having a good time, but nonetheless, there are a lot of people on this parking lot of a gas station at 3:30 in the morning in the north end of Beaumont.
It's also a convenience store, isn't it? I mean,
Yes,
it's open for
Yes, sir.
buying
Yes.
and selling items that
Yes.
people may need because other stores were closed.
Yes, but at the time, nobody was buying gas, and for 16 minutes, those cars never moved out of there. So it's also a gas station, but nobody who wanted gas was going to be able to pull in and get it because all the stalls were filled with empty cars. The bottom line that I'm trying to point out to you is that, there's a lot of things about this situation that are just disconcerting, aside from just the fight, the brawl, where all those people joined in and assaulted the man. There's something also to consider is, do we as a community, are we condoning store owners that just let people congregate, and I'd say 27 cars on one side, maybe another 20 on the other, plus, I don't know, 1 or 2 people in each car, and it's 3:30 in the morning. But the store owner doesn't call the police and say, look, I'm afraid this could get out of hand. Could you at least come make a presence? I'm surprised that the police hadn't ridden by on Concord Drive in between Delaware and I'd say Lucas and noticed that that's an awful lot of people just hanging around a parking lot doing nothing. And if there were people that went into the store to buy something, you didn't really see anybody leave, but you saw people circling around the area. And I would think that even if they didn't have the authority to say, it's getting a little bit too crowded here, this looks like anything could happen, I think you all should go home. Maybe even just parking on the parking lot among those 40 cars would be enough presence to deter any kind of event. But surprise, surprise, with that many people sitting around, standing around, walking around, half of them carrying, I don't know half, a handful of people apparently carrying guns, a disturbance ensued. So, yes, when it wasn't even his fight to be involved in, he let himself jump up there and get him a punch in and back off. But he didn't start the fight. He didn't end the fight. Apparently, it looked like he was the one that caused all the people to be there. They were there all evening or from some period of time before 3 o'clock or 3:15 in the morning, just loitering around and congregating. So yes, our community doesn't want to stand for people who are going to want to do group assaults. But also, I think that taking into consideration the sum of the whole is really the sum of a lot of moving parts. That being, there was a situation that was being allowed there that it's not unlikely that this sort of thing could have broken out. And you see these kind of group fights. Kids have seen them in Westerns. You see them on the playground. You see them on the parking lot at a school. You see them on a hockey field, ice hockey, where people start getting into a fight that's not even their fight. So yes, although he should not have, he didn't start it, and he wasn't the last one to walk away either. He jumped in, got a punch in, not really knowing probably what the fight was about, and left. So all of that taken into consideration, plus the fact that he is accepting responsibility for his behavior. He doesn't have much of a criminal history, and not guilty, a dismissal, and a rejection of a case. In this case, and those were just misdemeanors. And then he has this pending. He's 23, I believe. Is that correct?
So
22. And we would just ask the court to recognize that this is a person who shouldn't have let himself get involved in somebody else's fight. Did hit the man one time, did not throw the first punch, walked away as soon as he did that, you see him back out. And on the left side of the video, as soon as the fight goes, it looks like, I don't know how many people scurrying away from it. This place was very crowded, and lucky not more people got hurt, or that guns weren't shot, because it was a volatile area, period. And we would ask the court to recognize that although he did involve himself, shouldn't have involved himself, he is sorry, from what he tells me, that he let himself get involved in that. And I would ask that you not sentence him to the maximum, the 12 years under this agreement, that you consider that this might be a person whose participation was not the most egregious, and would consider granting him probation. And maybe find himself figuring out how to direct his life to where he's not hanging out at a parking lot at 3:30 in the morning, because he's under the restrictions and the guidelines of this court and the probation office. And is that what you're asking the court to do, is to grant you probation?
it's wrong.
I really don't have anything further.
You have 3 children, correct?
Yes, sir.
Where were they when you were irresponsibly being involved in a felony offense late at night involving an aggravated assault? Why weren't you taking care of your family like responsible people do? I'm asking you a question. You didn't care?
Yes, sir. Kid.
Oh, no, I don't think you did. Or you'd have been with them. Nope. You'd rather be in a mob with responsibilities at home that you need to be taken care of. But you're out in the middle of the night causing a mess. But people, in all due respect to your attorney, who really doesn't have a lot to work with, but by what happened here, because this is terrible. And it's really, you can't blame it on the people who run the service station, because not calling out to the police to move people is not a crime. What you did was a crime. What others did was a crime. People don't want to go and shop at a place where there's mob behavior. That deters people. Can't. And I know the people who are running that service station want income, and they don't want to run people off. But people who are there to get gasoline and other items, because stores are closed in the middle of the night. So these are places that are open where they need to get something. They need milk or something in the middle of the night for their family. But not the way y'all act, not the way this group, the irresponsible people, act. Who'd want to go there? It's not safe. Look what happened. That's the way folks are treating their own city. This is your home, isn't it?
Sir.
You've made it worse for everybody. And the others. It frightens people. They'd rather go somewhere else. Not this city anymore, the way you're acting. This is your town. You're supposed to treat it decently. Because you're supposed to be in it with everybody else. But you're working against what the leadership in the city and the county are trying to do. Make it a safe, responsible place to live and raise your children. The jobs are here. $40 jobs you can see anywhere you look, as long as you have an education and you're willing to work. But no, here we are at 2 and 3 in the morning, stirring up a mess. And I'm sure it gets passed on. Hey, don't go over there. Man, there are guns being used. People are getting beaten up. You got a crowd, you can't even get gas, and you got to move through a mob just to get inside to get some milk. Well, that's not what the Chamber of Commerce is trying to promote. You're working against progress and the others who are involved with this. It's a mess. Meanwhile, you got 3 kids. Mr. Role Model, you're a role model too. Don't expect your children to follow the rules. If you don't, you're going to be the most influential person to them. You know that, though. You have parents, don't you?
Yes, sir.
And they influence you by the way they act, whether it's good or bad. It's natural. Where you have to act good. Not you pull everybody down who rely on you as an example. Stay.
Judge, this is this is not a punch as defense suggests. This is nothing but dangerous mob, violent criminal activity. I highlighted that this man chose to jump in the car with his brother and another individual with an AK-47 fleeing the scene after this. As Your Honor suggests, blaming the owner of this facility or the cops for not coming by, I find distasteful.
Well, she's trying to represent her client, and his actions make it hard to help.
All right. So what I'd like to do is highlight his conduct. His statement on page 2 is that I ended up at the wrong place at the wrong time. It was just supposed to be a fun night hanging out. Those were his comments. Page 5.
While the kids were at home.
Page 5 of your report, first paragraph says, his last offense, I'm reading the 3rd sentence, Judge, his last offense involved the defendant being caught again carrying a weapon by Bridge City Police Department only 2 days after this incident.
Is that true?
Yes, sir. So what the,
Wait.
But
You
before
didn't
you
learn.
put too much more on the record, I don't think.
You didn't
they
learn a
were able to
lesson
find
from what
anything
happened
about
here?
that, and I don't know if it's still
That was
pending or
in
not,
my,
whether he had a
that's
weapon or
all
not,
we were-
illegally.
Hold on, everybody at once. What do you have to say?
Well, if he was charged with carrying in possession of a weapon, or it was something, an illegal act, since it's not prosecuted yet that we know of based upon the report, and there's no resolution there, I'd hate for him to make too many comments that could be used against him in a court of law in Orange County as far as that particular incident. I don't
He has
know.
a fair opportunity to comment on what's in the pre-sentence report, and that's sitting in there,
Yes, sir, but it says unknown or something. There's
not found.
I read
definitive.
from the unobjected portion of paragraph 1 of page 5. To be, in fairness, it goes on to say that this case has not been received by Orange County yet. But my argument, Judge, is that if somebody was in this scenario and they're just saying, hey, I just really didn't understand what was going on there, that person would not be caught 2 days later with a handgun.
Well,
That's
I understand. You're going to go to something else because the way the presumption of innocence works.
yes, sir.
I mean, I'm
So-
kind of funny about that since I wrote an article on that. And
All right.
Let's move
But the-
on. I'm not going to consider something that, and a charge is not a finding of guilt.
Yes,
And
sir.
if you, unless there's independent proof on something, the court's not going to consider that.
Yes,
Go ahead.
Page 2, the detective reminds Your Honor in his statement under interested parties about the first individual that was sentenced in this course. That was the Courtroom beating. He received a 10-year sentence. He had the same deal that was offered here. He had the similar arguments about lack of criminal history and gave excuses for his conduct. And Your Honor justifiably sentenced him to 10 years, and he was responsible for striking the victim with a handgun. I would ask the court to assess a punishment along those lines. I'm going to stay consistent with every defendant that comes before you. They are all getting the same offer, which is a cap of 12 years. Each of them needs to be considered individually, but at no point in time will you hear me stand here and suggest that the appropriate sentence is some form of probation. My suggestion is 10 years.
Go ahead. The defendant, you can go forward, sir. Tell me what you think, Mr. Petrie.
Well,
Anything you want me to consider?
take full responsibility for my actions. I wasn't even supposed to be there.
What did you do? You're taking full responsibility. What did you do
Struck the person one time, the victim one time
with a gun?
with my hand.
Why would you do that? Other people were getting the job done. If you wanted to assault the man, they were assaulting him. Why did you want to add to the ruckus when you got kids at home? Why would you do that? I mean, well, what is it that you hated that person so much that required that? What is it he did to you?
Nothing else.
Nothing. Go ahead. Anything else?
I just want to apologize on my behalf for what I did. I wasn't supposed to be there. I know I messed up. Regret it. Supposed to be home with my kids and my girlfriend. It's like that.
How were you raised? To be responsible?
Yes, sir.
But why weren't you that night?
Big, moving too fast.
Anything else you'd like to add from the defense?
No, just, when the first punch was thrown, I noticed that back behind another person, wasn't even part of the man with the red, one person hit somebody, like a second fight starting at the same, right after it. And so, not that that's anything of any importance to anyone, except that
That's
it
terrible.
shows that it wasn't everybody just on one. It looked like people were gonna start fighting, like that.
Well, it's not humane. This isn't the way human beings are supposed to act, especially adults who have responsibilities at home to take care of. You know that. But people see that video and who'd want to come here? They're saying, what kind of an area is this where this kind of behavior occurs, where people take over businesses and it's not a safe atmosphere for somebody to come out at night to get something in an emergency since they're the only place open. It's not right. But we all know that. It's happening too often. One after another. That's what we have a full load here. So 22nd largest county, but yet we have the 12th highest felony crime filing rate, according to the state statistics. That's not what people want. You're supposed to live safely. It's a community. That means that we're supposed to be in this together and we all move forward together. And there's no reason why you shouldn't be having one of those $40, $50 an hour jobs at the refineries instead of hanging around when you have family at home and fighting and making a mess. So we build hotels to bring people from out of town to work the jobs because you are frittering away your opportunity and others like this and just hanging around fighting when you need to be working and making a living, good money here. But it's like water through your fingers. But it's a choice we all make. I'm going to find again here that Mr. Petrie, you have pleaded guilty voluntarily to this aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, a second-degree felony. You were mentally competent to do so. You understand the consequences of pleading guilty. There was sufficient evidence supporting your guilty plea from State's Exhibit 1 admitted here to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. I now find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And I'd like to also point out in this pre-sentence report that's part of the record, the defendant's actions, along with the other co-defendants, were brutal in the way they assaulted and treated the victim as a human being. And I saw the video and I agree. I hereby find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of the second-degree felony. I'm following this agreement. You are hereby sentenced to confinement in the Institutional Division of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice to serve a term of 10 years. You will be given credit for all time you have served. The judgment shall reflect an affirmative finding that a deadly weapon, namely a firearm, was used in the commission of this assault. Do you understand what has happened today, sir?